Hey guys, it's Coach Dre. So today we're going to break down how to survive your first 90 days of jiu-jitsu. I know starting something new, and especially jiu-jitsu, can be really a scary thing. I know when I first started, I was doing martial arts already, and it was still intimidating to hop on the mats for the first time. So I put together this little survival guide, how you can make the best out of your first 90 days. Let's get into it. Look, if you're a white belt, everybody knows you're going to do some spastic shit. Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to look at how to survive your first 90 days of jiu-jitsu. Now let's roll. So at this point, you've probably done a lot of your own research. You've picked out a school, maybe even signed up for a trial, or outright enrolled. You've been interested in jiu-jitsu for a while, but now you're actually getting ready to be on the mats. So here's a few tips that you can consider for the next 90 days that'll get you going. And we try to stay away from some of the more common tips like, make sure you tap early, tap often. That's pretty basic, that's pretty common sense stuff. Everybody should know. So we're going to steer more towards some of the other stuff that's really important, but just aren't talked about as much for people that are just getting started. So let's get into it. Tip number one, what you need to survive your first 90 days of jiu-jitsu is hygiene. Jiu-jitsu is one of those sports where hygiene is ultimately important. There are not a lot of sports that hygiene is more important because you're so close quarter with your partner. You're up and you are in sometimes intimate settings and positions with your partner, and things can be a little wonky if you don't have the best hygiene or if your partner doesn't have the best hygiene. So a good school will make sure that they are giving constant hygiene reminders to everybody, but as the new kid on the block, you want to make sure that you are yourself coming in with good hygiene. You've got deodorant on, you get your teeth brushed, you have a shower before class, ideally, especially if you've been working all day and you're getting ready to hop on the mats. If a shower isn't an option, you can do something like wet wipes where you kind of get yourself cleaned off, at least for the purpose of the class. For a short term, not the ideal solution, but it's better than having somebody just hop off the bus and now they start putting you in a triangle choke. So I think we can all imagine there's something terribly wrong with that. So hygiene is utmost importance. I can't think of a sport in martial arts where hygiene would be more important than what you're doing here, because you get in positions like the triangle, you get in positions where you just don't get it every day, right? So having solid hygiene, taking care of how you look, how you smell, right, goes a long way, and it gets you more training partners, quite frankly. Okay, and here's hygiene tip 1.5. So you want to consider, as you're just getting started, you may be trying to figure out if jiu-jitsu really is right for you. So instead of investing in some really expensive gis, like an origin gi, which are fantastic, but not necessarily for a novice jiu-jitsu person, there's a bunch of different places where you can go, like Amazon, Martial Art Mart, and you can look them up on Google. But you can find good, cheap gis that'll get you by. And what this will also allow is, if you go to class on Monday, by Tuesday, unless you have nothing better to do, you're gonna have to wash the gi, dry it, hope it doesn't get shrunk. But if you have two gis, you can alternate, take that time off, get the gi washed, you've got a fresh gi ready to go for class before you even get into the next one. So it helps you to be able to alternate without having to run up your laundry bill exponentially right off the bat. Plus, once you start getting more invested into the sport, you can figure out what nicer gi really fits you. Like, you get to have your jiu-jitsu personality, but you don't want to come out the gate with an expensive gi. You're gonna put a target on your back. You don't want that. So tip number 2 is make friends quickly. And speaking from firsthand experience, when I first started jiu-jitsu, I was never this super outgoing, friendly person that was super social. I was more introverted. But hey, I learned to communicate and make friends as I was in there. But the benefit of making friends fast is, if you make friends quickly, guess what? You want to come back and train, not just for the training portion of it, but just to kind of cut it up with your friends a little bit, right? And you get to have that camaraderie. People that go to the gym together, work out together, they stay in it longer than people that just work out by themselves. It is a known fact in the fitness industry. That's why your gym always wants you to bring a partner with you, because you're going to stay involved in the community a little bit longer. So the faster you can make friends, even quick acquaintances, the better your jiu-jitsu journey will be. Hey guys, just want to say thanks for watching, and if you're enjoying this video, then also enjoy another video I made, 7 facts you must know about jiu-jitsu. It's some great info about jiu-jitsu. And this is stuff that you can share with your family, your friends, your co-workers about the sport that you love. And knowing these little fun facts just ingratiates you to the sport even more. So make sure you check out the video. I'll link it in the description below. Let's get back into how to survive your next 90 days of jiu-jitsu. Right. Tip number 3, don't get caught up in analysis paralysis. So if you don't know what that is, it's a common term where your brain gets caught up analyzing every minute aspect of a statement, of a project, of an instance, or in this case of martial art, and you start to overthink everything. Your first 90 days of jiu-jitsu is going to be an absolute blur. You look back at it after a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5, 10 years, you're not going to recall the majority of the things you learned those first 90 days. But that's okay. That's not to say you don't want to pay attention, but you don't want to get your mind racing on things that necessarily aren't going to be super, relevant to you in that moment. One example of this is you have a white belt that'll, after a roll, they'll look over to their brown belt training partner. They're like, hey, I really caught you in that armbar, huh? Like, no, you did not catch them in that 6-set armbar that you learned 30 minutes ago. They fed you that move. You're overanalyzing it, right? And then the other side of that is you start thinking about, the perfect position of the hips, perfect position of the feet. What about the wind speed coming into this angle, and then the sunlight comes
2 hours later.
So you want to think about just keeping it bare bones. We're drilling for retention. We're not drilling for perfection. So number 5 on the list is diet and nutrition. So without getting too far down the weeds, because this is a whole other category and video all itself, but you want to think about in this scenario, you may already have a pretty decent diet, but when you do jiu-jitsu, you burn a lot of calories. You use a lot of muscles that you do not use in your average everyday life. We have people that are professional athletes, bodybuilders come in and they train for the first time, and they're like, I've never had a workout like that before. I'm sore in places I've never been sore before. So your body needs the nutrients to supply itself with the fuel and repair itself. So the simple way to think about this is, instead of necessarily taking things out of your diet, think about 1, adding more vegetables and fruits to your diet if you're not already doing that. And next is you want to think about increasing your protein intake. So the general rule of thumb is 1 gram protein per your body weight, especially if you're bodybuilding where you look to gain size and strength. It really depends on the individual. If you want to give it a rule of thumb, make sure you're getting at least a full protein serving each meal, and supplementing that with 1 or 2 protein shakes throughout the day. These protein shakes help to make it easier to consume the amount of calories that you need to stay lean and healthy while you're also practicing jiu-jitsu. And then lastly is staying hydrated. And remember, hydrating isn't just drinking water. Hydrating is make sure that you get electrolytes. So you want to make sure that you're getting a source for electrolytes. After a good, hard, open mat, you're drenched in sweat, and it looks like a sauna inside there. You need more than just water to put that back in your body to get recovery going. You need a supplement that has electrolytes to get you refueled, get your body repairing itself. This one's a kind of a bonus tip. So with this one, look, you're excited about doing jiu-jitsu, you're on the mats, you've rolled for the first time, probably tap a bunch by now, but you're starting to watch instructional videos and you're trying to piece things together, which you shouldn't be doing too much of because you're going to get analysis paralysis. But as you're watching your videos, right, keep in mind that there's some really good stuff out there and there's some really bad stuff out there. So I would recommend not really watching too many videos, because while there may be some good material out there, there may be material that you're watching that your coach does not want you to do, that your coach wants you to train a specific way because they don't want you to have these bad habits. But by watching these instructional videos, it may not necessarily keep that in mind. So you can learn a lot from them, but you want to consider there's methodology to it. So first, build a foundation and understand the core root of jiu-jitsu, the essentials, right? Work from your back in the guard position, right? Understanding a couple sweeps. And as you start to piece it together after your first 6 months or so, yeah, like you can start ramping up watching some of the training videos. But if you're watching training videos in your first week, 2 weeks, your first month, it really doesn't put anything in context for you. So just don't overdo it, right? When you're watching your instructional videos, try to keep that to a minimum. Look, you're a white belt. Everybody knows you're going to do some spastic shit, but that's okay. It's part of the program. Don't overanalyze it, right? You want to work hard, you're going to get after it, you're going to push yourself to the point where you feel like you're going to pass out. But the key thing is, take it easy. Take a round off if you need it, rest, recover, and get back in it. Don't worry about what you're doing wrong. Worry about showing up and being committed. Consistency is key over intensity at this stage. Those are just a few quick short tips to get you going your first 90 days of jiu-jitsu. If you thought those were kind of useful, or you have tips of your own that you'd like to suggest, put them down in the comments section below, right? Share it with other people so they can see and they can gain some of that information as well. So until next time, peace out.